Hello everybody, welcome to another video on the Constructive Criticism YouTube channel. I'm Spencer. This is Wednesday Night Warrior. I am the host of Constructive Criticism and Limited Time Only, two podcasts about getting better at Magic the Gathering. And it's a little late, but I'm going to do a look back on 2016. I wasn't going to do this video, just because I feel like most of the people watching the video typically know my opinions. But one of the people in our Facebook group, the Constructive Criticism family Facebook group, posted a look back at 2016 questionnaire where a couple of our, a few of our podcast listeners went and answered questions about what they thought of 2016. And I was like, well, I have all this data, so why not talk about it? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the most common answers given, and then talk a little bit about the answers given and why I think that these were the answers given. So I'll go everyone's opinion versus what I think about that opinion a little bit. So, because why not? So, the questions are favorite deck, least favorite deck, favorite card, least favorite card, favorite set, least favorite set, favorite mechanic, least favorite mechanic, and rating the progression of the game on a scale of 1 to 10, and how we feel about Magic right now. So, here we go. So the first question was the favorite deck of the people. And the one that got the most was technically green-red ramp, but a couple other people also just put in other green-red ramp-like strategies. Green-red goggles, green-red goggle ramp, stuff like that. And I'm not really surprised by this. This was, would have been my favorite deck. The thing is we got this format started with this year started with the rally format, and because of that, my all-time favorite deck in of all time, it's probably Temur Black. So the Savage Knuckleblade style decks, Splashing Black. It's just my favorite deck ever. Because of that, that was my answer. But if it wouldn't have been that, it would have been Green Red Ramp. I did well at PPTQs with it. I played the deck a ton. Got a pro point in. I got some pro points. I don't even remember how well I did in Portland with it. Casey used my list to qualify for the Pro Tour. I just love the deck a lot. Won Game Grid Open with it. I just really enjoyed the deck, and I think other people did too. I think one of the things they really enjoyed about it was the power of the deck. One thing that Volkit was not fun because of is how little decision making you had. And you had a lot of different ways that you could build the green red ramp decks. I had a list myself that I really liked, and I think that people really liked the fact that they could build the deck in a way that shaped their metagame, and that's not typical of ramp decks. And I think that's why so many people liked it. You had the goggles version. Even right now, I would say that the Marvel decks are taking the space that was green red ramp, and people enjoy similar things about that deck. To that. People's least favorite deck, I thought this was going to be green-white tokens, because that's my least favorite deck, but no, it was undeniably Bant Coco. People hate that deck, and I think that people hate it for a few reasons. I think that I feel bad playing it and playing against it, because you have to decide what you're going to play around from the collected company, and then you have to see what they get. And either they're going to feel bad or you're going to feel bad on some end of that spectrum. And then just the annoyance of some of the cards in the deck. Spellcaller Reflector Mage just wasn't fun to play against. Reflector Mage in general just was probably one of the dumbest cards ever printed. And it's just not, it doesn't create fun gameplay. And I think that people just really hated this deck. I didn't like it. I never played this deck at one time at a tournament. Which is weird because I love Bant decks, but it just never spoke to me. I didn't find any of the cards interesting, and I think that a lot of people felt that way. And I think a lot of people got really sick of it. It actually never dominated the way that Green-White did, but people still got super annoyed with it because of how unfun it was to play against. The next, I guess, I want to clarify that with something. So Bant Coco was the best deck going into the Pro Tour, that first Pro Tour. It quickly fell off. Green-White quickly took over. And then after they printed Spellcaller, Bant Company became the best deck again for the rest of the format. So it just didn't do what Green-White did, in my opinion. and by the numbers, it also, I don't know that it had the same stats. Next up, we have people's favorite card. So I actually do think that these correlate with favorite deck quite a bit. They ended up doing that. So the people's favorite card was actually Worldbreaker. Yeah, I mean, card's sweet. Like, it's the ability to get it back was really cool in something like the Goggles deck, where you could sacrifice getting it back by like sacrificing your Draenor Temple and then activating the Draenor Temple again. It's just a cool interaction. I think people really enjoyed. And then having it be an answer for some of the more annoying things was pretty cool. And just having reach. People just forgot it had reach. It was like Trample with Primeval Titan. And I think that it's a good feeling when you're playing the card. It's like, block. And people are like, oh, I'm an idiot. And that's fun. It's fun to feel smarter. Least favorite card is Reflector Mage. People who didn't put Bant Coco as their least favorite deck put Reflector Mage as their least favorite card. It is the most unfun card in a very long time. I think if I go back through Magic, I think this might one day take over my hatred of Hero Blade Hold. Just because it's so annoying. So Mana War is a fun card. Making temple plays is fun. And I think that everyone, for the most part, can sometimes feel that way. Reflector Mage is not fun. The clause that you can't play the spell afterwards, it gives you really bad feel-bad moments if you have one stranded and you suddenly have sometimes you get actual time walked. Because you have two of them, and you play one, and they Reflector Mage it, and then you have none. And it also, in combination with Coco, was just terrible. It was not fun. And even before that, it answered all of the good answers to Rally at the end of 2016. So 2016 was just full of people hating this card. And then Blue-White Flash had a string of dominance as well with Reflector Mage. So the card's just been everywhere, and it's never been fun to play with or against. I don't think anybody really likes this card. I mean, some people might. I don't know. But for the most part, that was the most hated card by a large group of people. Favorite set. This one was weird. So favorite set and least favorite set, they were both of the favorite set and least favorite set got mentioned as other people's favorite set and least favorite set. But the favorite set that was listed was Oath of the Gatewatch, and I think that this was hard for a lot of people. I don't think that there's it was not by a lot that this was the favorite set. It's my favorite set because I really like the draft format. A lot of people didn't love it. I personally really, really liked Oath as a format, and I think that as far as constructed goes, you got things like Worldbreaker and so you got to see the start of those ramp decks that people liked but back then it was with, I think it was Ugin. So that you could even, I think Owen Turnwald once tweeted that Map the Waste was the best card in Standard after Oath of the Gatewatch came out. So the least favorite was Eldritch Moon. And this is really interesting because of what the favorite mechanic was. But I think that Eldritch Moon was probably the biggest fail I can remember from Wizards of the Coast in a very long time. And the reason it was such a big fail is that you have this big reveal that everybody already knows is coming. And I don't know. There's probably some people that felt really smart for knowing it was Emrakul. But for a lot of us, it was not fun. And then I just think that having Eldrazi in back-to-back sets was unexciting. And nobody was excited about the Eldrazi. And that's really sad because the flip Eldrazi played really, really, really well in Limited. And they could have done this in 3 sets, and people would have loved it. They would have loved the story. They would have loved playing with these Eldrazi and the nuances of the new Eldrazi. But instead, we just left Zendikar. We just saw Eldrazi, and I think that's why a lot of people, it was their least favorite set. It was my least favorite set too. I wasn't as excited about it, and I don't even care about the story that much. It was just, it felt like I was in the same world almost. I don't know. The things that I don't know that I love about Magic, apparently I love them a lot more, and it was also my least favorite set. The favorite mechanic, though, was Emerge for this group. And, yeah, I think Emerge is great. I think, one, it's a really hard deck to play. It was a really fun deck that people really enjoyed. And I think that figuring out that stuff and that puzzle is really fun for a lot of people, and a lot of people really enjoyed that. And you just got to play sweet cards, and people want to play things. They want to sacrifice their little stuff to get big stuff. It's a good feeling, especially when you create value from those sacrifices. And I think people really, really enjoyed it. The least favorite mechanic was Cohort. I'm not surprised by this in the least. I think that was probably my least favorite mechanic too. Now that I look back on it, I don't even remember what I put. I put colorless mana. That's reasonable. Colorless mana is kind of dumb too. But I think Cohort was just a fail. Just all around, it failed on every aspect, and it really sucks because I think that the ally mechanic was pretty good before. I think that both Rally was sweet for the most part, and the old just sliver style mechanic for allies, I think that it was just a huge disappointment. Rally was okay, but I don't know. People love slivers. I don't know why they changed it. I understand flavorfully it was because everyone's an ally and the allies are helping everybody on Zendikar, but Cohort sucked. Nobody wants to tap their dudes to get multiple dudes to get these abilities, because first of all, you have the multiple dudes that have to be able to block and survive combat to profitably do this, and it just overall just wasn't great. So, and the last question that we had was 1 to 10, rate your satisfaction with the progress of the game in this year. And I took an average on this one. The most common answer I think was 8, but the average overall was 7.5. I think that calling the pros whiners is really dumb, because I think that they invest a lot more into the game than a lot of us do. But I do think that as much as, Magic YouTubers and Magic podcasts want you to think that people at large hate this standard and hated the last standard and have hated standard for a long time, it's not true. People really love Magic. Numbers are down because we were in a bubble. Everyone was playing Magic. There's so many Magic players, and a lot of the players are still Magic players. They just didn't invest in new standard decks. They just went home and played kitchen table Magic with their friends instead of going to tournaments anymore. And those people will have kids. They'll teach their kids Magic, and their kids will go to tournaments to try it out and things like that. And what we have to do is stop creating a negative culture around hating everything. Everything needs to be banned. Everything sucks. It's just not fun. It's why those people went to the kitchen tables. And I think at large, people actually really like these formats, and 7.5 is an indication of that. It's a little bit above average. I think that, these formats have had their flaws. 4-color was really expensive. Green, White, and Bant Company were not the most fun decks to play against. And then I honestly don't know why people don't like this format. I think this is literally one of the best standard formats ever that we're in right now, but people have problems with it. They don't like getting mind-slavered. Even though, for some of us, it's really cool. It's deciding how to play those turns and how to play around those turns is something that's interesting. A lot of people don't like that either, but I think that you'd be surprised that people's overall feelings of Magic are still pretty high. And they especially were in 2016. So that's it. Those are all the questions. I think overall, when I look back on 2016 for Magic, it was one of the cooler years for Magic for me. I didn't play as much as the years before, trying to qualify for my first Pro Tour. I had played a lot of Magic, and, my wife being pregnant all of the year, I didn't play a ton. But my friends did, and I got to watch multiple friends go to their first Pro Tours. Now I'm watching friends go to their second Pro Tours. I got to watch Quentin go to his second Pro Tour last year. It is a really cool feeling, and I think 2016 was one of the cool years for Magic for me, and it sounds like a lot of people enjoyed it. There was a lot of awesome stuff being said. So yeah. Thank you everybody for watching this week. Don't forget you can go to patreon.com/ccmtg, become a patron of Constructive Criticism. Starting at $1 per month, anything you see fit, we really appreciate. If not, check out the sponsors at Oasis Games. You can go to oasisgamesllc.com. You get 15% off your first order by using the code CCMTG at checkout. You get 5% off of every order by using the code Would That Be Good. I'm out of here. I'll see you guys all next week, and let's get ready for an awesome 2017, guys. Bye.